JBN, we keep you informed. Minibus driver becomes Anova's first murder victim of 2020. A minibus driver who was fatally stabbed by two unknown assailants in the transportation center in Lucy Anova on Wednesday night became the first murder victim in the parish this year. The deceased has been identified as 43-year-old Carl Amberley, formerly of Greenland, Lucy Anova. Reports are that about 10 p.m., Amberley was among a group of persons at a shop in the transportation center, during which he was attacked and stabbed multiple times by two men who confronted him. The men then made their escape by running from the scene. Investigators from the Anova Police Division of the Criminal Investigation Branch are probing the incident. No motive has yet been established for the killing. Man charged with illegal possession of a gun. A man has been charged with illegal possession of a gun and ammunition after a gun and several rounds of ammunition were taken from him on Ponciana Avenue in Kingston 11 on Friday. Charge is 23-year-old Nico Garrick, otherwise called Chad, and Giovanni Myers of Edgewater, Portmore, St. Catherine and Woodpecker Avenue in Kingston 11. Reports from the Hunts Bay Police are that police officers were on an operation in the area about 4 p.m. when Garrick was seen acting in a manner that arose their suspicion. He was accosted, searched, and a Taurus 9mm pistol containing 11 9mm rounds of ammunition taken from him. Might as well we pull up the SOE. Luther Buchanan, Member of Parliament for Eastern Westmoreland, is calling for more efficient states of public emergency, one where soldiers and police are properly equipped with the necessary tools to become more mobile. This comes a day after a gas station operator, Sean Thompson, was murdered in his home in the parish. A policeman could be in every home almost, and you still couldn't prevent murder by way of that. But the real issue is that the static checkpoints are like mannequins. You have soldiers and police at a checkpoint, and within less than a quarter of a mile from there was a barrage of gunshots, said Buchanan. They could have heard clearly from all stretch of the imagination by way of their distance. If they were even notified by way of a citizen, they couldn't move. These static checkpoints without the capacity to move a vehicle makes no sense. He called for checkpoints to be equipped with enough manpower and vehicular resources to assist and respond in such an instance. It is sad to say that even the White House police were without patrol. I happen to know that it is the Bluefields police who are covering the White House area. The White House police response time was delayed. He said, "My call is for the Minister of National Security, the Prime Minister, and the Commissioner to understand that a state of emergency with static checkpoints and failing to provide vehicles for those points means that might as well we pull up the state of emergency." Buchanan acknowledged that tackling crime takes time. I know we can't just get up tomorrow morning and solve it, but make we do what makes sense. The man that we are carry out them accurate, I say, listen, the soldiers are up there on foot. They're not going to be able to move to me by the time I drive out. He said, National Earthquake Readiness Committee to be established to better prepare the society for an earthquake. A new National Earthquake Readiness Committee will soon be established by the government. This was announced by Minister of Local Government and Community Development, Desmond McKenzie, on Thursday at a town hall meeting held at the Errol Flynn Marina in Port Antonio, Portland. We are now prepared to take the message of earthquake to the 14 parishes of Jamaica. The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management is tasked to prepare this program so that we can start the conversations in our schools, in businesses across the country, in our churches, in our communities, and to focus on the things that we need to do, McKenzie said. We are taking a number of steps to start to engage stakeholders in the country on this issue of disaster as it relates to earthquakes. We are establishing a National Earthquake Readiness Committee, and this committee is to be linked to the National Disaster Council and work along with the National Building Advisory Council, he added. McKenzie said a number of well-known Jamaicans have already indicated their willingness to serve on the committee. He stressed that it is important for the committee to be formed as more buildings are being constructed and more professional guidance is needed for the persons involved, given that some buildings are going up in areas that are threatened by natural disasters. The body will be headed by Roger Smith from the National Works Agency. Representatives from the National Environment and Planning Agency, the Jamaica Fire Brigade, and the Jamaica Master Builders Association will also sit on the committee to examine and make specific recommendations to the government as to how they can help to ensure that buildings are built in accordance with the various building acts. Meanwhile, McKenzie called for contractors and developers to ensure that they follow the various stipulations before building structures. When you go out there and put up an illegal structure that has poor foundation, poor columns, and it is not built to specifications, and when you build on the banks of gullies and you encroach on drains and all those areas, you are creating ready-made disasters for yourselves and other persons, he said. Homeowners tussle with managers at New Harbour. A war of words between homeowners and the Citizen Association is threatening to erupt into a legal fight over gate access privileges at New Harbour, Village 2, a sprawling housing development in St. Catherine. New security measures triggered by a rash of break-ins have put the association on a collision course with homeowners who have failed to clear outstanding maintenance fees in a culture of delinquency that the management group says is affecting its cash flow. Thieves have targeted the housing scheme located in Old Harbour for the past 2 months, making off with electronic and other items. The thieves allegedly gained access to the property by either climbing over or punching holes in the perimeter fencing. This has prompted some homeowners to call for the height of the fence to be raised. Citizens Association President Dolores Mollison said that the group has put in place new security measures in a bid to arrest the robbery plague in the gated community. A number of them, residents, are on board and are pleased with our efforts to establish a model community. With the new security measures, no one can enter the property without proper identification. Property owners who have paid their maintenance fees are given gate passes and are able to let themselves in and out without engaging the security personnel, Mollison said. Those who are not in compliance have to identify themselves to the security personnel at the gate before they can gain access to the compound, she continued, adding that homeowners or their guests have never been prevented from entering the compound where they have been properly identified. She outlined other measures such as the registration of taxi operators who transport residents and the lawn service and other laborers who carry out work in the development, the identification of visitors at the gate by the person they are visiting before entry is permitted, and the registration of renters with the association. Mollison said that appeals from residents to raise the height of the perimeter fence in order to deter thieves have remained unfulfilled because of high non-compliance of a monthly maintenance fee of $1,000. We have a very high delinquency rate, even though I have put in place flexible payment plans and offered discounts in some instances. Hundreds of thousands of dollars are owed right now, she said. We have residents, some of whom have not paid for many years, and this has been hampering further improvement efforts. It is understood, however, that New Harbour was never organized contractually as a strata development, which would give the Citizens Association legal cover to take homeowners to court with recourse to seizing the property. Action in the civil court might be the only option. Homeowners on Block B have protested the changes made by the Citizens Association, accusing the president of replacing the previous electronic system and the security personnel without notification. Actions they claim have trampled their right to unrestricted access to their property. They have also criticized the management group for causing them inconvenience. Mark Harvey, a homeowner who has been living in New Harbour Village 2 since the establishment of the development, has ceased paying maintenance fees for the past 2 years and is now taking legal action against the association for infringing on his right to access his property. Since the changes, I have constantly been harassed at the gate, with the security personnel each time requesting my card documents before I can gain access, Harvey said. To make matters worse, my son had an illness 3 a.m. recently, and they would not permit a family member of mine to come to my house to offer my son and myself a ride to the hospital, since my car wasn't working. Even my wife had to walk to the house from the gate because the taxi that was taking her home was not allowed to enter because there was no information about the taxi in the logbook, he said, fuming. Harvey said there should be an electronic gate system that permits self-entry to homeowners and a proper validation framework governing access protocol for visitors and workers. He vowed to resume the payment of maintenance fees only when these recommendations are implemented. Cole Gordon, a resident who owes 5 years of maintenance fees, totaling $60,000, said he is also having issues with gaining access to his property because of restrictions imposed by the managers of the development. They are making it difficult for us and our visitors to go back and forth. Something must be done about it, he said. Karen McRae and Derek Russell, property owners, who have both admitted to being delinquent in the payment of maintenance fees, have complained of the same problems. Russell revealed that he recently lost a brand new door to thieves, who took off with it from his mother-in-law's porch less than 4 hours after it was placed there. The problem with taxis not being able to take our family members inside unless they are registered at the gate should be addressed, he said, pointing out that taxis traveling from beyond Old Harbour could not have secured prior registration. Manchester Circuit Court to be held at James Warehouse Plaza after fire. The Court Management Services says the Hillary session of the Manchester Circuit Court will be held at James Warehouse Plaza on South Racecourse Road in Mandeville. In November, an early morning fire broke out in the judge's chambers at the court, damaging a section of the decades-old heritage site. As a result, all cases were transferred to other courts in the parish. The Court Management Services say litigants may contact it at 876-613-8800 or email customer service at cms.gov.jm or the court office at 876-962-2191. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.